Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing this morning? I hope you are staying warm wherever you are. Unless it's already warm, then kudos to you. We are getting ready for a snowstorm. It has started. The snow is upon us. So we're supposed to get anywhere from 12 to 24 inches. So hopefully I don't have to go to work and I can just bury myself at home. So if this is your first time here, then hi. My name is Carrington. If it's not your first time here, then hi, welcome back. If you enjoy makeup, you'll definitely want to hit that subscribe button. But if you enjoy book chatter as well, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button. I'm starting a new thing on my channel where we talk about the books that I've read the previous month. So in January, I read 6 books. I'm going to talk about each of the books in a ranking order because I do like ranking. So I have ranked all of my books. We are going to go through each book and talk about why it's ranked where it's at, and give a little synopsis of the book and why I think it was good or why I didn't think it was good. So if you guys are excited to see some more about books and you also like makeup, then definitely hit that subscribe button, click the little bell to be notified of all my future uploads, and let's go ahead and let's get into the ranking. Okay, let me just say, book number 6 is my least favorite. I absolutely did not like this book. I finished it in January. I started it in November. Yeah, it just was, to me, just not a good book. Maybe it's just based on, I don't know, just what I like. But that is the Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister. So this is a different version of the Cinderella story, okay? And I don't think necessarily that's bad. But this book is almost 400 pages. And it really did not start to pick up until almost the very, very end. I just feel like they really strung out some parts of the story that we could have done without. So basically, this kind of talks more about what would be the stepmother, the evil stepmother, and the stepsisters. Although in this book, the stepmother is kind of evil, but the sisters are not. And so basically what happens is it starts off with the evil stepsisters and stepmother coming to an English area. They were originally from the Dutch. Their father was murdered, and so they had to leave quickly in order to make it out safely. And so they come to an English town. And they have nowhere to go, they have no money, they have no food, nothing like that. So they move in with a painter, and the painter agrees to give them some food and a place to sleep, but basically they have to, maintain the home and things like that. And so, the mother usually does that, and the kids kind of go on about and kind of play and stuff like that. Well, there's a very rich family, and eventually they get the ability to go to this very rich family's home. And then some series of events happen, and now, now the end is coming, and the grand ball is here, and it kind of so the girl's name isn't Cinderella, it's something else, but in the end it kind of talks about how the name Cinderella, why they started calling her Cinderella came about. And then of course it kind of ends like Cinderella. Cinderella, goes off and marries the prince, but it kind of gives a little bit more at the ball about what happened. It just wasn't that great. It just kind of drug on. I feel like this could have easily have been instead of a 400-page book, a 200 to 250. I just feel like they dragged on some parts. And I am more into mysteries and page-turning books. This just wasn't my kind of genre that I particularly like, but I'll read just about anything, and this was just not that great. Was not a fan of this one. So that one's number 6. Number 5 through number 1, I like all of them. I just want to preface this by saying I like all of these. So this one was a little bit tougher to rank, but luckily I was able to do so. So number 5 is called Last Girl Ghosted. So, excuse me. This is about a young lady who meets a man via, it's like a dating app, kind of like Tinder, but I think they call it like Torch or something like that in the book. So, meet somebody and they start falling in love. Well, then one day, the guy just ups and disappears. Phone turns off. Leaves his house, leaves his business. Emails are all gone. Torch account is gone. Like, everything is gone. And then a detective comes around because the guy that she was seeing matches the guy that has been with other girls that he met off Torch, and those girls have ended up missing. Nobody knows what happens to them or anything like that, so they are missing. And it kind of gives a little bit of the backstory, like throughout the book, like every few pages, like every 5, 6, 7 chapters, not pages, chapters, it kind of goes back into the girl's life. So that way the ending makes a little bit more sense. But I think that starting from the beginning, I think you kind of know what has happened. And so I think it's something that you easily can figure out. And it didn't really have like a ton of like twists and turns. So that's why it's ranked number 5. It's just because compared to the other books, it just didn't have a lot of twists and turns. Like, I knew in a way what was going to happen. And of course, I mean, there were some where I was just like, oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't have seen that one coming. But I think that was only just like 1 or 2 instances, when really there could have been a lot more in this book. So, it's a decent book, but it's definitely one of those, like, what's going to happen. Like, as soon as you start reading it, you know exactly what happened to the other girls. You know what's going to happen to this girl. Just know everything. So, just to have to sit there and read, because this is a 400-page book as well. To sit there and have to make it to the end when you already know what's going to happen, you just have to get there. Yeah, it's still it's a good book. I think that this is a good book. It's just probably not as good as my others, but it's not as bad as that Cinderella one. So I think this is a good book. Number 4 is my Jodi Picoult, A Spark of Light. I love Jodi Picoult. She writes amazing books, and truthfully, these next ones are just like, it was so hard to rank. So this one was definitely included hard to rank. This is a fiction book, but it does talk about some like real life issues that do affect people every single day. So this is about a young girl who lives with her dad. Her mom is not in the picture, and she wanted to get some birth control because she had met a boyfriend. But she was too nervous to tell her dad about it. Her dad is also a cop. So she asked her aunt to take her to Planned Parenthood so she could get some birth control. Well, when they get there, a man starts to shoot people and holds them all hostage. And so what's really cool about this book is that it's written backwards. So like it starts off, at like 5 p.m. the day of, and then like it goes backwards to like 6 p.m. or 8 a.m. the day of. Like it goes backwards, so that's really cool. The other thing I really do like about this is, granted, I know Planned Parenthoods and things like that are hot button issues, but I think this is definitely a good book to really get you thinking about those kinds of topics and kind of have that discussion with it being, fake fiction. And then it kind of talks about why, and then you find out towards the end why this guy is coming to shoot the place. And it kind of gives you a little synopsis of each person that's there and why they're there and things like that. So if you are somebody that likes fiction books that kind of have a little bit of a twist at the end, right? You don't really Jodi Picoult books, no matter what one you read, whether it's like lighthearted or something about hot button issues, there's always a twist at the end that you don't see coming. And so I really do appreciate that. The same is for this book. But if you don't really like hot button issues, that's fine. Go ahead, skip out on this. There are plenty of other really good Jodi Picoult books that you can definitely try out reading. But if you are somebody that you like to read more thought-provoking books, I think you would really, really enjoy this. And again, the writing style of this one is really nice. Instead of going from beginning to end, it's end to beginning, and it's really well written. I think Jodi Picoult did a fantastic job. This is a great book. All right, so then for number 3, we have Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. This is good. So this family, their daughter goes missing one day, and they spent a decade almost trying to find her, and the cops just believe that she just up and ran away. And so they're just believing this. Eventually the husband and the wife, they just split up. It's not that's got to be hard to have like something as traumatic as that happen, and then your life just changes, and now you're still expected to be a wife and a mom. And I could see where a lot of relationships might go downhill after something like that, and in this book that's what happened. And so the mom starts seeing a new man, but the man has a daughter who's like 8 or 9 years old, and looks just like the daughter that's missing. And it kind of goes back and forth, and it has a little bit of like different people's perspective as you're reading it. So you will read about like the moms from the mom's perspective. It'll go back in time, and you'll read about like the teenager's perspective. You'll read about the new man that they're seeing perspective. There's just like a bunch of different perspectives to tell the story, and that's one thing I really like about this. But then eventually, it is solved as to what happens with the daughter. And so that it kind of had a little bit of a twist. In a way, I feel like I knew what was going to happen before, but even though I knew what was going to happen, this was still really good. And I just kept turning the pages and turning the pages. I finished this in like 12 hours. I mean, it really took me no time. I was just so engrossed in the story. Whereas the other one with Last Girl Ghosted, where I knew what was going to happen, it just felt like it drug out to get to that point. This one, I don't know. It just didn't feel like it was just dragging out. It really felt like it was just like cutting straight to the point and really giving you everyone's perspective as to what happened. And the ending is a little bit shocking as well. It's a really good book. I would definitely check this out. I'm wanting to purchase a couple more books from Lisa Jewell, like The Family Upstairs. I really want to try that out, as well as I Found You. So want to try those out as well. I'm gonna pick some up. I've got a few books I've got in mind for February already. Already started one. So yeah. This was a really good book. I would say definitely check this out if you're into like mysteries and things like that. I think you'll really enjoy this. Number 2 is actually a nonfiction book, but I loved this book. It is The Tattooist of Auschwitz. So this kind of follows the story of a man named Lael, and he was brought to the concentration camp of Auschwitz in Birkenau. I'm not really 100% sure how to pronounce the other one. And basically he knows many different languages, and they found that out about him. So they allowed him to become the tattooist, where he would tattoo in the numbers on the other Jews. And so it kind of like talks about the special privileges that he gets and how he was able to use those special privileges to help other concentration camp members. And there were some sad parts in this as well, but I really did love this. Again, I finished this in just like a few days time, but it's just so good. I love being able to read about other people's experiences, and so this was definitely a great one, good to check out. It's definitely sad. There were definitely some parts in it that was very, very sad, but I think it's also worth the read as well, just to get some history. And sometimes I feel like history or nonfiction books can be a little bit boring, but this was not. This was so good. I was definitely like enthralled, engrossed in it from the very beginning. So yeah, it's a little piece of history that I read, and I mean, it was just so good, and just page turning. So this was so good. I love that Lael fell in love while in the concentration camp and was able to help save her as well. But I mean, this book is just, it's so good. If you are into nonfiction, into World War II, into anything like that, I think this was definitely a really good read. Number 1 is so good. I'm so excited. So this is The Silent Patient, and I could not stop reading this. This book is about a patient whose husband was murdered, and they think it was her, but she goes completely and totally silent, will not talk to anyone. So instead of allowing her to go to prison, they do send her to a psychiatric facility where they drug her up. Well, a guy thinks that he can get her to talk, so he applies to be the psychotherapist. He has a degree in that, so he applies to be a psychotherapist. He gets the position, and this is where he tries to get her to talk. Now, she's very, very like, I'm not going to talk to you, I'm not going to participate in anything. But one thing that I liked is that along the way, he interviews people to try to get a little bit more about her. So he interviews like family members or the ex's family or friends. And from the beginning, as he's talking to all these people, everybody gives a different version of the patient. And you kind of are like, well, what's the real her? And then you're like, but it's like, you know, one of the friends, it turns out, you know, wasn't a great friend. They actually didn't like each other. So then it was just kind of like, well, did they have something to do with it? Or did the family have something to do with it? She has like a traumatic past. And so then eventually she does kind of sort of open up. And the first thing that she does is she gives him her diary. And so he starts to read that and starts to piece together that some of the people in her life has been lying to him about accounts of her. And so he keeps making his way through, trying to talk to her. And eventually she does, she does start to open up in other ways, like the diary and painting and things like that. But the end, I was not ready for. Because on top of this being about her as a patient, the psychotherapist kind of has some trauma in his life too and needs some help. And so he becomes a psychotherapist to help him overcome some of his issues that he's having. And so it kind of talks a little bit more about how like getting her to talk is like a good turning point for his life as well. So the ending I did not see coming. It's just like as you go through, you think every single character is a suspect, and then like it just like pulls the rug right out from under you. It's so good. It was such a good book. I would definitely recommend this book if you are into page-turning mysteries, thrillers, everybody's a suspect, as well as good story writing. Like, he did a great job writing the story. I think you will love this. This is such a great and phenomenal book. It is so good. All right, so that is it for today's video, talking about the books that I read and ranking them. Let me know down in the comments if you guys enjoyed this. Do you guys want to see more of this on my channel, or are you like, no, I'm not really into books? Please let me know both down below in the comments. Or if you like this, then give this a thumbs up, and you don't have to leave a comment. If you don't like this, please do leave a comment. This lets me know, but I love to read. I have always been a huge reader. My mom, my older sister, and me have been like the readers of the family. We are always having our nose in a book and have since we were little. And so I love being able to talk to you guys about books and being able to read some really good books. So if you guys are into this, then definitely give this video a thumbs up or comment down below, or both. If you're not really into this, then go ahead, comment down below, and I know not to do this again, but I had a lot of fun doing this. If you enjoy, thumbs up, subscribe, hit the little bell, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye. Bye.